Hi, and thank you for joining us for video number 2 on strategies for maintaining a nice healthy weight. So I'm going to talk to you now about a number of strategies that you can use to make sure that your weight stays nice and healthy. So a couple of things that we'll be talking about today will be healthy tips when you're cooking at home, also how to choose healthy snacks. I'll also be talking about strategies on how to reduce the sugar content and the fat content of foods in your daily diet. And Joe later will also touch on some strategies on how to eat healthy when you're eating out in restaurants. Okay, so let's start with one of the first strategies, which is how to cook healthy when you're at home. So there's a number of different pointers that you can use here to make sure that dinner and lunches at home are a little bit healthier. So let me start with maybe an evening meal. So maybe you're choosing to cook an evening meal of a spaghetti bolognese or a chili or a stir fry. So in these types of foods, it's important to reduce the meat in the meal and maybe increase the chopped up vegetables in the meal. So let's take spaghetti bolognese, for instance. You can use a low-fat minced beef, such as a 5% low-fat minced beef in it, and add plenty of chopped up vegetables to add colour and variety into the bolognese. Also, if you're doing a stir fry, add in plenty of chopped up veggies in there as well. If you're cooking foods, it's always better to grill foods rather than fry. Grill or boil maybe. Now if you are frying, you could use a low-calorie spray oil and just use a couple of sprays of that. Each spray is equivalent to approximately 1 calorie. When you're cooking, avoid using butter and oil, which are quite high in calories and will make the meal quite calorific. If you're having a milky or cheesy sauce, avoid using full-fat milks or creams in your cooking, but instead use skimmed milk or a low-fat creme fraiche. If you're cooking eggs, why not try a boiled or a poached egg instead of a fried egg? It's important as well, if you're cooking a meal at home, to use less processed meats, which tend to be high in fat, such as sausages, burgers and bacon, and also sausage rolls. Choose low-fat spreads if you're having a sandwich instead of the full-fat butters. If you're adding cheese to a pasta dish, which is always very tasty if you're having a pasta bake, let's say, or maybe a chili con carne, choose a low-fat cheese and also grate the cheese, because you can spread the cheese out better and you end up using a smaller quantity of the cheese. So the next strategy for maintaining a healthy weight that we're going to talk about today are various ways in which you can reduce the sugar content in your diet. So if we do eat a lot of sugar in our diet, we run the risk of gaining weight and also tooth decay. So a good way for identifying if you're eating a high sugar food or a low sugar food is by looking at the labels. Now, sometimes labels can be colour coded. So for instance, you might have a red label, which might indicate that the item is a high sugar food. So it has greater than 22.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams. You also might have an amber label, which means it's a medium sugar food. So this means it contains greater than 5 grams of sugar, but less than 22.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams. Now the best item you can choose is a low sugar food, which will be colour coded green, and it will have less than 5 grams of sugar. So I've got some examples to show you here. So for instance, I've got a chocolate ball yogurt here. Now this chocolate ball yogurt has 18 grams of sugar per 100 grams, which puts it in the amber range with its sugar content, meaning it has a medium sugar content. So I also have a box of Weetabix here, and per 100 grams of the cereal, it has 4.4 grams of sugar, meaning that it has a green label, so that it is a low sugar item. So let me now take you through some strategies on reducing the sugar content in your drinks. So instead of having a sugary fizzy drink or a sugary squash, go for water, low-fat milk, or a sugar-free diet version of the drink. Even if you have unsweetened fruit juices or smoothies, it's important to only have 150 ml of these per day because they are quite high in sugar. Now I've got a little trick for you here. If you do really like fizzy drinks, why not add a no added sugar squash to a fizzy water? And then you have a little fizzy drink, which is quite healthy. If you do take sugar in your hot drinks and your cereal, why not try gradually over a period of time of reducing the amount of sugar that you add to the drinks and cereal? If your cereal's not quite sweet enough for you, you can always add a couple of slices of banana or berries to replace the sugar. Now, I'm now going to move on to strategies of reducing sugar in foods. So, rather than spreading high sugar jams and marmalades and chocolate spreads and honey on toast, if you're having some toast for breakfast, why not use a low-fat spread instead to reduce the sugar content on the toast? You could also add some low-fat cream cheese or a sliced banana onto your toast. If you're doing a little bit of baking, why not reduce the amount of sugar that you add to the recipe? If you're choosing maybe a fresh fruit salad from fruit in tins, why not choose tins of fruit in their fruit juices rather than in syrup? Now I'm going to focus in on some sugar swaps that I have here. So you'll see I've got a couple of examples of some sugar swaps that you can do regarding sweets and yogurts and chocolate. So let's start here with the Haribo jellies. So instead of having the Haribo jellies, you could easily swap to a little pack of raisins, which still gives you a taste of sweetness, but in a very healthier and low sugar way. I'm going to move over here to the yogurts. So you can see I've got two high sugar yogurts here. I've got a chocolate ball yogurt and a flake yogurt. So instead of having these high sugar yogurts, why not go for a low sugar, low fat, natural yogurt? You can always serve this with some chopped up fruit to add a little bit of sweetness to the snack. I've also got a Kit Kat bar here, which has 18 grams of sugar, and you could do a nice healthy swap to a chocolate Graze snack bar, which has 2 grams of sugar. So that's quite a significant reduction in sugar there with that swap. So I've got a Mars bar here. So this little Mars bar here contains 31 grams of sugar. And this 31 grams of sugar is equivalent to 7.5 teaspoons of sugar, which is quite a large amount of sugar. So now I'm going to talk about the next strategy to maintain a healthy weight, which is all about reducing the daily fat content in your diet. So one of the easiest ways that we can reduce the fat in our diet is by comparing labels regarding fat with different foods. So a high fat food item is described as anything with more than 17.5 grams of fat per 100 grams. A low fat item is anything with 3 grams of fat or less per 100 grams. An example of a low fat food item is a soya yogurt, which contains less than 3 grams of fat per 100 grams. Other ways that you can reduce fat in the diet is by cutting out foods which are very high in saturated fats. So just to give you an example here, they will be cakes, chocolate, sausage rolls, sausages, cream and full fat milk. Now you don't need to stop eating these foods altogether. It's all right to have them as an occasional treat and just in smaller servings. Okay, so my next section that I want to talk to you about on maintaining a healthy weight is choosing healthy snacks. So you'll see I've got a variety of snacks here in front of me to give you some practical examples of how to choose some healthy snack ideas. So let me start here with some battens of carrot with a low-fat cream cheese. So that makes quite a low-fat, low-sugar snack. I also have some popcorn here. So a cup of popcorn is another low-fat, low-sugar option. I also have a small serving of pretzels as a healthy snack, and also baked crisps as opposed to fried crisps. Another option are some chocolate covered rice cakes, and also some protein nut bars produced by Special K. And up here to finish off, I've got 2 rice cakes served with some cream cheese. I'm now going to hand you over to Jo, who's going to talk about a strategy on how to maintain a healthy weight when you're eating out in restaurants.
So just because you're choosing lower fat, lower sugar and lower energy options, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy a good meal out at a restaurant. It's just about choosing those options that follow what you're doing at the moment. So if you're going to an Italian restaurant, you perhaps could share a pizza or pasta dish and get a salad to share as well. Or some restaurants also do smaller portions of pizzas and pastas that come with their very own portion of salad. If you're going to a Chinese place, it's about choosing the boiled rice over fried rice options, and you can always get a good veggie stir fry to go with whatever your main course is. If you're going to a restaurant, often the portion sizes are a lot larger than those that you'd have at home. So you could have 2 main meals between 3 of you, and that would make the portions a lot more sensible. Fish and chips is also a favourite, but that often doesn't include any type of vegetable. So what you could do is share a portion of chips and then have baked beans or peas to go with it and bulk it out a little bit. Now, all of this information is included in this leaflet, which will be sent to you in the post. So if you need to go and look at anything extra and look at the different tips, then you're very welcome to have a look at your very own leaflet here. There's also a couple of recipes in the back, which you might find helpful. So thank you very much for joining us in this video, and we'll see you in the next one.